still see my screen?
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, can you still see my screen? The
We
Nearpod?
see you.
We
You
can
need
just
to
see.
me. Okay, thanks.
You need
Yeah,
to share again.
I'll share it again. Yeah, we're having a few technical difficulties, but we'll get there. Okay, so, okay, now you can see it. Awesome. Okay, so I was just able to get into one breakout room, but it was really great to hear some of the comments and what you thought about the reading and your interview with your administrator. So if you'll go to your we're going to go to your Nearpod in just a second, but let's just talk about what we discussed in the breakout room. So what's something that someone else said that made you think, question, or agree with? So go ahead and put that on this board and share your thoughts. So something that hit you as you were working this last week, or something that someone said that you agreed with.
Why am I not able to?
So if you just are joining us, if you go into module 2, you should see the meeting, synchronous meeting to attendance and participation. So when you are in there, then you can add the thoughts. So take a minute, you can read through those after you've submitted yours and heart some of the things that you talked about or that you like, that you agree with or you like.
There we go. Okay, so I can type. Why is mine not working?
So I'm enjoying reading these. As you add your thoughts, just go ahead and keep reading through them for another minute or so.
And if you're not able to respond, then you're probably on the Canvas page looking at the Nearpod. You just need to jump over to your Nearpod from your Canvas page, and you should be able to fill it out.
Why do I have so many open? There we go.
It's tricky. You'll figure it out once you get the Zoom and the Canvas and the Nearpod going. It'll make more sense.
There we go. Found it. Module 1. There we go.
All right. Okay, we're going to keep going. So we want to talk about knowledge, skills, and dispositions of coaching. And that this assignment that you had right now is just kind of getting things going and getting you thinking about what they are. So
We can't up there, but you can hang it. It's cold in there. Should we go in there? I'll go back in there.
So the state has put out something called Defining an Instructional Coach, and it has our knowledge, skills, and dispositions on it. And what you guys just went through basically, especially with the interview with your principal, hopefully helped you to kind of be defining a little bit more about what your role is and what that you want to accomplish as a coach. And so we're going to just kind of briefly touch on this for the moment, but we'll come back to it each time. The knowledge, the dispositions and skills that are needed to be a coach. So I want to talk about our beliefs. So in the book, Aguilar says, understanding our own belief systems, how they were formed, how we can become conscious of them, how we can change them, makes us much more skilled at helping others do this work. So just for a minute here, let's just talk about why these beliefs are important. And after reading this quote, go ahead and unmute and tell me your thoughts about this. Why is this important? How does understanding our own belief help us be better at coaching?
I like the quote in there, and I'm going to butcher this, but he says something about if you don't understand where your own beliefs come from and you don't understand that they can be changed, then how are you supposed to help others see their beliefs and be able to change their beliefs as well?
Yeah, that's perfect, Angela. There was one part in the reading and in group 1, someone talked about this. I forgot who it was, but it was if you think teachers suck, then they're, if that's what you believe, then how well do you think they will improve in their coaching? If you think if they're just terrible teachers, and I think that's pretty powerful. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
I'll add that I liked how the book talked about how our beliefs are tied to our behaviors and our actions. And so if we want to be better coaches, we need to understand where our beliefs are coming from so that we can then change our behaviors. And I think it also goes hand in hand with coaching other people. I mean, it kind of seems like we are looking at behaviors with teachers, but really the change will come from really digging into what their beliefs are, which will then in turn help them change behaviors, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Emily. That's perfect. So that's when we talk about defining an instructional coach, we have to know, first of all, what our job is, what our position is, and then second, what is what we believe about our position and what the people that we work with believe about our position. So I think that's really good. So we're going to look at some of our own beliefs, and I have created or added some vision or, oh dear, dang it. This is the wrong, dang it. This is the wrong Nearpod, Jason. We need the one that I created. This isn't the right one. So let's take a 3-minute break. Everyone take a quick break. We will come back and I'll get the right Nearpod going so that we can look at the beliefs that you guys shared in our chat. It's always something technical with these types of things. But anyway, let's move on. We're going to do a quick, I have a really great article I wanted you guys to read. I dropped two links in the chat, and I want you to click on the second one first. It's a article.
Can you redrop that, just because if they droned in after you put it on, they won't be able to see it.
I
So
just
if you
barely did it just now.
Okay, then there it is.
Yeah, it's called Let's Do a Coaching Tune-Up by Dr. David Boren and Joe Jensen. If you if you are familiar with David Boren, he is a professor at BYU. And he is, when I was doing my administration, he's really my mentor. I really admire him and really appreciate him. And as I was preparing for this class, I asked him if I could share this article with you because I really love it. And it's probably going to take you about, I don't know, 8 minutes to read. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link and read the article. And then shut off your camera and while you're reading, and then when you're done reading, turn your camera back on, and then I'll know that we're ready to keep going. So read that, and we're going to have just a quick little discussion about it. Interested, I can share. Actually, I'll just do it. Let me see. Oh, I might have to sign into I can share the coaching priorities sheet. Let me do that right now. And you can print it off and go over it with your administrator. Let me just drop it in the chat. Hopefully it works. Okay. All right. A while ago, when I shared two links, the first one was the utahschools.gov.file. That one is hopefully something that you are familiar with. If not, click on it and open it, and you'll see that it is instructional coaching resources. And the defining an instructional coach is right there on page 2, and it talks about the knowledge, skills, and dispositions. And that I think that's great. I think the information that is on that sheet really helps us to kind of look at what kind of knowledge, skills, and dispositions we need to have as coaches. And those are the kind of skills we're trying to teach through these classes that we're doing here. So that's just another resource for you. So back to the tune-up article. Anyone have any final things to say about it before we move on? Okay, we'll just go ahead and move on. I'm going to now share my screen again. We're going to talk back about our beliefs. And these are just quotes taken from the discussion board from this week. And so you might recognize one as being one that you wrote. But this first one, there's more to coaching than just being a cheerleader. And honestly, I think coaches are probably natural kind of cheerleader type people. But there's more to it than that. And so if I share your quote and you want to add to it, jump in. Otherwise, we'll keep sharing quotes because I didn't keep track of who wrote what. But if you guys have any thoughts, go ahead and unmute and share. Okay, great. We'll keep going. Here's one. Being authentic creates credibility and trust. I need to work at asking better questions. Even though I took these from all over the discussion, I think probably all of us could agree to these. Does someone have something to add about that? Okay, this one, we are all in this together. And if we can work together to build our capacity and the capacity of those around us, we will change the world. I love that. Instructional coaches are so important to help these kids and help these teachers who ultimately will help the kids grow. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the ladder of inference. That section in Aguilar's book is pretty interesting. I I think this, when we first started talking about the reading, when we first got together for class tonight, I heard a few people say they really thought this was interesting. So what are your thoughts about the ladder of inference, and does it make sense to you? Are you, what do you think about it?
Well, can I just say that this actually made me stop and really think about like besides just my educational background, but like my whole belief system. Have I made assumptions that I should not have made based upon data that from my perspective? And so I thought it was excellent. And I know that we were having a discussion within our group about this particular thing, that this is really going to be hard to get teachers to really examine their belief system, because to look back at the data and go, well, I looked at that wrong, or I have a different perception than other people, and this is how I got here. That's a challenge.
Yes, I agree with that, Angela. And you used the word data multiple times when you just made this statement. And we know that. I think using data to talk to teachers is really our very best way to get our foot in the door. Anyone else have any thoughts about the ladder of inference?
I just thought it could be really powerful way to help us be intentional with our actions, because I think going from the observing to the actions happens so quickly. And so if we can have a reminder to slow down and go back through those steps, whether it's for ourselves or when we're working with other people, that's powerful to be able to sort of break it down that way, because sometimes you're like, I don't know how I got here. It just happened.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, I think something that really resonates with me about it is how, if we look at the very bottom rung, the observable data and experiences, and recognize that that's kind of like what a camera sees. Like if a camera was recording, but we aren't cameras, like we are people, right? And we can only really focus in and narrow in on one thing. I had a really interesting experience last year. I had a principal come to me and say, I have a teacher who's really like, she's just got terrible classroom management. And I need you to, see what we could do to help her out. So I went in, and sure enough, it was pretty chaotic. This teacher taught 3rd and 4th grade science. And it was kind of like a special. The kids would rotate, depending on the day, to go to science with this teacher. And she had a lot of really great, she seemed like a really nice teacher, pretty nice lady. But what would happen is she would lose control of the class and then just kind of blow up and explode at the kids. And I didn't really blame her, because they were really out of control. But so I just went in one day and observed her. And so then I noticed that these are 3rd and 4th graders. And this was, a few weeks into school, probably about this time last year in October. And they were talking about apples. And the 4th grade group was talking about animals. And so I asked the teacher, this was her first year doing this science. And I said, tell me about what you're teaching. I just was asking, I'm just curious, because to me, apples and animals are things that you talk about in kindergarten, like, or fall, those kinds of things. And so she said, well, I don't really have a curriculum. I'm not sure. I just thought it would be fun to do apples because it's fall, that kind of thing. And so then I asked her about the seed standards, if she knew about them and knew where to find them, and what, what she knew about it. So basically she really didn't have a understanding of what she was teaching. And so it was really obvious that a lot of her behavior issues were because she was not teaching appropriate things to this age group. So if I just went in and observed that the kids were being terrible and she didn't have good classroom management, without going a little bit deeper and recognizing that really a big part of the issue is the fact that the kids are not engaged. They don't want to learn about apples when they're in 4th grade, that kind of thing. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that experience with you. Has anyone else had an experience, if you think about this ladder of inference and how it has helped you? I mean, not that you knew this before, but if you've jumped to conclusions too soon, or if there was something that now that you have this ladder that you could kind of get a different meaning or understanding from an experience that you've had.
I'm
can share
surprised. Oh,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
oh,
David.
go ahead. Okay. I'm surprised at how quickly I have jumped at least the top two, or the bottom two, and either added meaning right away, made assumptions, come to a conclusion without actually having data to really understand what's going on. Is it really bad classroom management, or is it a lack of some procedures? Is it bad management, or is everything, it's just great controlled chaos, and so I think that's I just think I have jumped the gun quite often and added meaning in that wasn't really there.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave, for sharing that. I appreciate that. Anyone else?
I can share something, and this actually happened this year. We have a new teacher, and I didn't know so much about her, but I've spent a bit of time in her room, and every time she would be sitting down. She'd be sitting down, working at the document camera, sitting down at her desk, sitting down at the table in the back. And so when I finally went in and we debriefed from an observation, and I just said, I noticed, because proximity is one of the things you're looking for, where the teachers are up and moving, and it ends up that she had hurt her leg. And so she had a physical injury that I didn't know about. But the whole time I was sitting there like, get up and go talk to this group. You're asking the kids to pair share, but you're not there listening. So after I knew that changed my perspective, and I had definitely some more sympathy there. And then we talked about ways that she could navigate the classroom when it was appropriate, whether moving her chair to the middle of the room to have discussions or different things. But I absolutely jumped to the conclusion that this teacher, she's choosing to sit down and maybe is lazy or whatever else was going through my head, but there was actually something going on. So that was kind of a wake-up call for me. And this just happened 3 weeks ago.
That's great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Just so you know, I'm at my house and my family is usually not quiet in the background when I'm doing Zoom things. So, okay, so let's keep going with this. So now we're going to move into the coach's optical refractor. I think the lenses, I think this part is just really interesting and fascinating. When you were reading, what was going through your mind as you read this part in the book?
I really appreciated that they did an example, because when I read it, it seemed like a whole lot, but then when they showed it like with an actual example, it made so much more sense.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. When we figure out, as we're looking through the lenses and kind of realize that sometimes we're only seeing the things that we want to see, or we're not seeing things that we want to see without seeing the whole picture. So let's when the example with Mr. Delgado was really interesting, and using the lenses kind of helps. I think if we, as a coach, we want to kind of take the opportunity to look through and determine, what lens we're noticing and what we're seeing. So we're going to, let's see, we're a little bit behind schedule here, but this is the debrief plan. Let's see, I don't know. Can you click on that? Is that how it works, Jason?
Yeah, they should be able to click on it and read the PDF.
Yeah. So read that PDF. Open up the PDF that's there. I can open up mine. And let's talk about this. We've got the lenses, the questions. How are you feeling about today? My thinking, and then the lenses. So we'll do another. Let's just do turn off your camera, quickly read through this again, and then we'll just have a quick debrief about it. And then we're gonna let's do a reading for like 5 minutes, and then take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back together at 4:40. Does that sound good? Okay, hopefully we're coming back from our break. As we come back, this coaching conversation debrief, I think, is really something that coaches could use to think about the questions that they want to ask in a debrief. I like the questions that they offered. So anyone have any final thoughts about the debrief plan? Okay, I'm going to re-share my screen here. And we'll keep going here. Maybe if I can find my. Okay. So now moving on, we're going to talk about relationships next, and how we partner with teachers to create an environment where learning happens together and students benefit from this growth. And I think one of the things about this part is the importance of thinking about what, as coaches, what we can do to help create leaders within our teachers in our schools. And I think that's where we're going to get the most bang for our buck, when it comes to coaching. So this is, one of the professional learning standards is being a skillful leader. So professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students requires skillful leaders who develop capacity, advocate, and create support systems for professional learning. As advocates for professional learning, leaders make their own career-long learning visible to others. They participate in professional learning within and beyond their own work environment. And just from the coaches that I know, and I know some of you quite well, you all fit this mold very well. But what are your thoughts on the importance of that, lifelong learning and the professional environment as a coach? Why is that important as a coach to model for your teachers?
Well, it's also showing that we have, if we're participating in that professional development personally, that we are willing to develop a capacity to grow. And if we're willing to shape that capacity of growth, sometimes people look at us through a different lens.
Yeah, thank you. It's so true. And we have to set the example. So we have a collaborate board here. go ahead and answer this question. How can engaging and coaching support all educators in their development of becoming skillful leaders? These are great. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I could heart all of these. Does anyone want to unmute and share one that you really appreciated that someone else wrote?
I like the one that talked about no matter how experienced you are and stuff, your education. I can't find it on my screen, but everybody has the capacity to still learn and grow. Basically, is what it said.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. I agree. I think that's Tiffany's. No matter how skilled an educator is, everyone can benefit and improve their beliefs and behaviors. And that is true of coaches, it's true of teachers, it's true of administrators, right? Anyone else?
I like the one that says, I think it goes along with the ladder of inferences. We all miss some of the data through our own perspective, and it helps to have someone else there to help us see more of the situation.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. We don't see sometimes because we're too close. It's almost like not seeing the forest for the trees kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. These are all excellent, really great. Okay, thanks, you guys. Okay, we're going to keep going. Now we're moving on to the partnership principles. So how instructional coaches interact with others is as important as what they do. And that is from Jim Knight, who said that. And so we're going to have the opportunity to, so go ahead and open your PDF viewer again, and I promise I won't click through the slides while you're reading this time.
You should have about 2 minutes, and then we'll switch it over to 2 activities with this. So you're looking at the 7-part principles on the PDF.
Yeah.
Give it about 2 minutes.
Just, yeah, I was going to say, you don't need to read too carefully, just kind of skim it. Okay, we're going to move on to the next screen. And this is your, let's see.
This is a drag and drop, and so
Yeah.
if you read the instructions and then you click on the instructions, it'll go up so you can see. Just put them in the chart kind of where you use them all the time, sometimes, or what? They exist?
Yeah. All right, let's see. Looks like you guys have done almost done. This is really fun. I think it's really great to really think about this and take some time to appreciate these principles. And, you know, maybe if you put something in your rarely think about category, maybe you don't need to think about it, but, you know, maybe it's something that you could put in the forefront of something that you could work on. And you give you about 30 more seconds to submit. And it's really interesting just glancing, there, each of you have different things in each category. So that's great. It just kind of shows that we have work to do and things that we want to work on.
And the next one is simply choosing your top 3. And we'll just look at the date of the poll, the things that you think are the most important.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. Top 3 partnership principles that you identified in the last activity as your role as a coach. Just pick 3. All right, looks like everyone has submitted. Mostly. Let's just share. Looks like a lot of you, one of your top 3 partnership principles is reflection. And those questions that we got, the debriefing questions, are great to help us reflect and our teachers reflect. Next top one is dialogue and choice. Those are our top 3, but then we have equality, voice, reflection. So I think it's really great that we all have different things that we have identified, that those are things that we need to work on, or principles that we want to work on. So, all right, we're going to move on. When we talk about partnership principles, we talk about compliance. We're talking about top down. So we have, if we have something that we, as a directive from a higher up, whether it's your principal, whether it's your district, or whether maybe it's the state, how does that work with partnerships? So, we've got people outside the classroom know what students need, but partnership people inside the classroom know what students need. So we're just going to do a breakout group right now. So sometimes we need, or we get top-down directives. And what do we do when that happens? What is our position as a coach? What do we do to make kind of the whoever's giving the directive and the teachers get along, right? It's a partnership. And so how can we support teachers to find ways for them to continue, to benefit from the system? I just want to share something really quickly. When we had an opening position, and we have 3 early learning coaches in the northeastern region in Utah, and one of the positions became open, and so we did an interview. And one of the questions in the interview is, what would you do if your principal gave you a directive and asked you to implement this in the school, and you didn't really agree with it? And it was really interesting because we asked this question to all of our candidates who applied for this job. And the person who got the job, there were a couple of people who said, well, maybe I would do what they said, but I might drag my heels. Or well, maybe I would try to talk them out of it. But really, as coaches, it is not our job to be administrators. It is our job to be a coach. And so we really need to do what the administrator wants us to do. And so the person who actually got this job said those exact things. And she said that she would do whatever she could to understand the perspective and the administrator, and then do what she could to support that and help the teachers to understand that as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I think it's really, it pertains to what our breakout discussion is next. So we're going to go to our breakout room. Sorry, I'm on the wrong. I'm going to just go to our same breakout room, Jason, that we were in. And we're going to talk about this, just discuss this. Let's just do seriously 3 minutes. We've got to kind of get through some more stuff and then we'll go from there. So go ahead, Jason. Okay, so hopefully you had a minute to discuss that and had a good discussion. So we're going to, I think this question, I'm just going to keep going. I think we had a good discussion in our groups. Let's keep going on. So the next part is trust. This, why is this important and how can it increase? So trust will always be at stake during the process of coaching. Trust can increase and become more solid, and it can be taken away. It can be initially gained, then lost, and afterward recovered. Or it can be lost for good. The coach always moves along the thin cord of the coachee's trust. To take for granted the coachee's trust is one of the big mistakes a coach can make. What do you guys think about that?
That kind of happened last year with one of our secondary coaches. Sort of broke some teachers' trust. And it's really put a barrier now in between myself and our other coach now trying to get in with these teachers because that trust has been broken. And so, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. If and it's kind of that where if one coach breaks the trust of and teachers know it, then it kind of ruins it for other coaches too. So it is a huge responsibility, Michelle. Thank you. You're right, Emily. If you guys can see in the chat, Emily wrote, this gets tricky when working alongside administrators because administrators want to know what's happening, but we don't want to look like we're spying on teachers. What do you think about this? And, if an administrator requests you to kind of spy on a teacher, has that ever happened? I've had that happen to me, and it's really hard. I don't have an answer for it. Anyone have some good advice about that?
It's not in the job description. I'm there to help the teachers, not hinder them or put them under the bridge or.
Yeah, definitely, Lisa.
I had in the interview that I did with the administrator, they had mentioned like one of the questions had something to do with like partnering together or like something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they mentioned that they would like to know all of the goals or things that the teachers are working on with me because they want to encourage them and kind of help work that. But then I don't like where does that fall in the trust? That probably falls into the like teachers won't trust so much if I'm telling all the goals. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what if someone else has an answer for that, but just off the top of my head, I'm thinking that I think it's really important to be forthcoming with the teachers to say, hey, these goals are so great. And is it okay if I share these with principal so-and-so, What else? What do you guys think about that?
I think if the principal sets up that coaching atmosphere in the school, and that's something that he or she talks about in the beginning, then I think that's great. If they don't, then it's probably viewed more like spying on a teacher,
Yeah.
but it all depends on the relationship between the principal and their staff. And if they've set it up as as coaching as a growth model instead of a gotcha model.
Yeah, that's great.
I agree. And I think it depends on what they want you to watch. I mean, if it's like a management issue or if it's has to do with their actual job and it's not, oh, I want to see if there's this interaction between a certain kid, or I want to see if this behavior is happening, that's different than something that relates to the field. And so I think it really depends on what they want you to look at and watch.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, awesome. Let's keep going. What is one way that you have worked to build and keep the trust of those educators with whom you work? I think this is so good. And I love sharing these answers because it helps give you ideas of things you can do. Hmm. Are you guys able to answer this? Oh, here we go. I see it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you about 15 more seconds to submit your answer. And then I'm going to just share a couple. And if I'm sharing yours, I'm going to ask you to elaborate a little bit. So watch. So about 10 more seconds. All right. Laura, are you okay if I share your answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead and elaborate on what you said.
I just said I wanted teachers to know that I valued their time and what they do. And I work in a secondary setting. And so some teachers don't even have a prep. So when we set up our time for a feedback cycle, I always make sure that it's 15 to 20 minutes. And if they choose to go over, then we do, but otherwise I'm out. Sometimes I think less is more, and I just make sure that when we reflect, it's intentional and not just talking and brainstorming for, it's just how I've read my environment.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Let's see, Jason, are you okay if I share yours?
Sure.
You want to collaborate with, elaborate, sorry, not collaborate.
Yeah, I just try to make sure that the teachers have to work closely with because they need more help. I'm a former science teacher. So I try to just get on their level more. And I happen to be working with science teachers. So we tend to share the same hobbies and stuff. So we kind of connect on that level first, just that building relationship thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I had someone asked me who my favorite principal was, it was my first principal when I was teaching. Emily knows, Mr. Viscerelli. He knew my hobbies. He knew my kids' names. He asked me, about what I did on the weekend, things like that. And I felt like he had a really great way of building relationships that way. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Brittany, do you mind if I share yours?
No, go for it.
Okay. So I noticed that you say I don't gossip about other teachers. How is that important?
Well, I think, we are privy to a lot of information and things that are going on in the classroom. And it's easy to be like, oh, I was in so-and-so's classroom and their kids are wild or their data looks terrible. But if we do that, we become someone that's not safe anymore. And so I think it's important to make sure that we show them we talk about all of our coworkers with respect, including them.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, so moving on, we're coming to the end here. We're going to talk about adult learning and existing reality alert. So what kind of baggage can teachers have about coaching, professional learning development, or other performance improvement techniques? This is a loaded question. What do you think?
I think it really depends on the approach. So like, I hear a lot of talk all the time with professional development because it's constantly being pushed out on us. And it's like, well, we haven't even achieved this professional development yet, or we haven't mastered this yet. And they're throwing this at us and throwing that at us. And so teachers just feel overwhelmed all the time. And there's just all kinds of baggage and yeah.
It's so true. I was just talking, Amy, are you on? Amy Mahoney, are you still here? I know she had an appointment, had to leave. I think she's gone. She was telling me about a school that she's working with, and there's so many initiatives and so many things happening that the teachers are so overloaded. They're really struggling to do one of them well. And so we talked about sometimes you need to go slow to go fast. Yeah. What else? What other issues or baggage that is there that teachers have with professional development or things improving?
Well, Teresa, I think that there's myths about coaching, that it's always good to dispel those or kind of, present that as, I guess, the elephant in the room, and then say, this is what coaching is, and this is what coaching is not, and this is what we'll focus on.
Yeah, that's great. And you can use that list that I shared with you today to help you dispel some of those myths, maybe. That's good. Yeah, you're right. Michelle is talking about in the chat that sometimes it's just another hoop to jump through and it's not meaningful. And, we have the opportunity now maybe some of you have done letters last year. I've got schools that I'm working with doing it this year. And it's really interesting. There's a huge difference. And this year I'm able to teach it in person. And I feel like some of the letters training that happened last year when it was online, the teachers were just jumping through the hoops. They're just clicking through the lessons just to get done. But when we, really dig in and take the time to have meaningful discussions and practice what they're learning in their classrooms, then instead of a professional development, it's more like a professional learning opportunity. So, yeah. All right. Any other comments or thoughts about that? All right. So, in the Art of Coaching, Aguilar lays out the 10 steps that we need to meaningfully implement in order for those we coach to trust us as instructional coaches. So I think it's really nice to be able to look in the mirror, and we've already stated tonight that we can all learn and grow. It's a continual thing. So, we can think for just a minute, what are the things that you feel that you could use the most improvement in your building trust with the people that you coach. So you can, let's see, do I have to click through the next one? Yeah, so go ahead and highlight or circle the things that you feel are the most important in your building.
Everybody needs to hear him.
Now you gotta mute your thing. Hey, do you want us to,
Sorry,
hey, do you want us to list the things that could use the most improvement in our building? Or do you want us to list the things that are the strongest in our building?
that you would like to improve in your building, that you need to improve in order to establish trust. Sorry.
Sorry, one more time.
You want to circle the things that you need to work on or you want to improve. Okay, you've got about 10 more seconds to submit. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to wrap things up by talking about techniques and approaches. When should we use one approach versus another? So I heard a lot of feedback when we were talking about the reading at the beginning of class about the different coaching approaches. And we even read about it in the Coaching Tune-Up article that there's the different approaches, and sometimes we need to use directive coaching. Sometimes we want to use facilitative coaching to help teachers come to their own conclusion. That we're kind of a sounding board for them. Sometimes we want to use transformative coaching, which is Aguilar is the term that Aguilar uses, where we are working to help coaches to determine, the types of things that benefit students or don't benefit students. You do a lot of reflective coaching in that approach. And then we've got the dialogical coaching from Jim Knight, which balances the advocacy with inquiry. So I think, I love talking about this when we talk about equal conversation, that we're using, we're questioning from both sides and having, really healthy exchanges of information and thoughts. So as we considering the 3 coaching approaches, really kind of, we're talking about transformative and dialogical are kind of so we've got directive, facilitative, and then transformative or dialogical, depending on if you're Aguilar or Knight. Which of these approaches or consider using those 3 approaches, share a positive experience that you had either as a coach or a coachee, and define the coaching style. So if you can determine which style it was. All right. I'd like to share a couple. Heidi, do you mind if I share yours?
Nope, that's fine.
Okay, great. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so sometimes I think it's just like a lot of times when I talk to teachers, they kind of know what they want. They know what they want to get better at. They want to try something, but they just need to kind of talk it through with someone, get validated in their thinking, and then have someone say, yeah, you can do that. And if it doesn't go perfectly well, then that's okay. We can, work through that. And it's okay to not be perfect. I help a lot with technology. So just getting people to try new things and knowing that it may not go perfectly well every time is a big deal. And once they realize that that's okay for it not to go perfect and everybody still learned something, then that's good.
That sounds like you have a very safe coaching environment. Thanks, Heidi. We are really short on time. We're going to move on. We're going to end with a quick little quiz, and I'll let you guys go ahead and take the quiz, and I'll share the results as they come in with you. And then when you are done with the quiz, really our class is over. I hope that you're enjoying so far some of the things that you're learning, that you can take them and use them in your schools. And if you have any additional questions, or you want to stay on and ask me if you're, got some issues or whatever, please oh, shoot. I finalized the quiz by sharing it. Sorry. Can you do it now? Do I have to go back? Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll wait. Sorry. Thanks, Lisa, for keeping me on my toes. All right, I'll share the results. We did pretty well. Okay, thanks you guys. Really appreciate your participation, and hope that you're getting something from this. If you need anything or you have any questions, next time, hold on, I'm just gonna go. Our next meeting is November 15th at 3:30. You'll want to get your module work done on November 14th at it's due by noon. I'm really flexible and really open and totally understand if things happen. So just know that. So I don't want you to stress too much about things. So got some good things coming up, and you're going to, we appreciate you coming to class. Feel free to let me know, reach out if you have any questions or need anything. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.